Of Good Morning Ghana here on Metro Television. We're also live on DSTV channel 277 and streaming live on our Facebook page. Those to do the discussions with me this morning is Sammy Gyamfi, who is the communications officer of the NDC. Sammy, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
By God's grace, I'm managing.
All right. And then my second guest is Amoah, who is the CEO of MASLOC. Boss, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How is MASLOC doing?
By the grace of God, we are doing so much well. We are doing well. I mean, great improvement. We're doing a lot of good work.
Sammy knows it.
He's my brother. He's my friend.
I know it's one place that comes with a lot of pressures from not just both from party people and then from business people. How are you handling yourself there?
It's tough, and what you're saying is true, but we're doing our best to reduce the pressure by making sure that we operate open culture system. So we are doing our best. You know, it will take a while, but we are doing our best.
When you say open culture, what exactly do you mean?
Open culture simply means transparency, allow other people to have access, letting people know what is going on, providing balance when it comes. You know, Ghana, whether you like it or not, there's always politics, even everywhere, even US and other things. Closed culture means you do things that do not allow other participants, to have a feel of what you're doing. Open culture system is where people, in terms of input, in terms of access, there's equitability. You provide equal platform for people to access the funds and to know what is going on and be part of it. That's what I'm talking about.
Have you rolled out any new products so far? I mean, any new initiatives?
A lot of things. I think one thing people do not know is that, to me, MASLOC, in my opinion, should have been the most important institution under any government. Because, this thing, anytime, I want to drill you, forgive me.
No problem.
Anytime MPP and these were in government, we tout ourselves, the economy is good. Look at the primary macro indicators, we are doing this. What do Ghanaians say? What do NDC and people, what do Ghanaians say? When we are saying that the economy, the figures, indicators, what do they say?
You should answer that question.
They say that we don't feel in our pocket.
Okay.
Whether NDC and PP, that's what Ghanaians say.
Okay.
And they are not lying, and NDC and PP probably are not lying. But because of our market nature, it's the defensive type. When we say defensive type, in finance, we call something systematic risk index. They fall below 1. Once they fall below 1, it means when the economy moves 10%, they don't move. These are the SMEs, and they occupy 90% of our market. So even when the economy is doing well, people do not readily feel it, simply because they don't have access to finance from these major banks. So any institution that directly handles the capitalization of facilities of these SMEs should be given priority under any government. So MASLOC, to me, should have been the most important institution that any government should have tried on to ensure that all SMEs and entrepreneurs and starters will get facilities, because that is where our market is. Surprisingly, most of the times, it's the other way around. So MASLOC, to me, is extremely important. It's something that we shouldn't joke with it. And we are doing our best to make sure that professionally it is run well. Because all MFIs in the world have key parameters that we consider whether they are doing well or not. Talking about structure, talking about fund availability, talking about disbursement, talking about recovery, talking about managing your excess liquidity. And in 21st century, they talk about fintech and co. Ensuring financial inclusion by, integrating the MFI with integrated ICT system, automated platform. And I'm telling you, all things being equal, just a few challenges. Very soon, we are going to go fully automated that our clients will be using GH card. We're even doing Visa cards, but Bank of Ghana did not allow us. So GH card means we can load money onto your card, you can pay with your card, you can load money onto your phone, and you can pay with your phone. You can use your card to access funds from to take money from any GH automated ATM, whatever. So we are doing a lot of things, structures, everything, recovery, we are working on it, it's difficult. We are doing so many things that, as I'm talking to you, we have about 216 district offices, not fully operational, but about 78% in all districts, because one of the factors that contributed low rate of recovery was the fact that people moved from Sege to Accra, Afram Plains to Kumasi or Koforidua, Talansi to Boligatanga, and then maybe from other places, Bunsunkwante to Takoradi. And when they access our facilities and they go, you can go and address them. It's very bad. You can't even trace them. So we are getting our interfaces closer to them in the district, the rural communities, so that they can access the funds there. And because of that sense of community, we can also get the recovery done. So we are doing a lot of restructuring, and things are on the right path. And I think if we're able to sustain what we are doing now, trust me, in 2 years we had about 3 or 4 international awards and 1 national award. For international bodies to give you award, I don't think it's on a silver platter. We work so hard, but we are not there yet because it's something that we are trying to improve daily.
Yes. On the funding side, how is it like? Are you getting the needed funds?
Yeah, I think so far, if it's cash, you know, I have our product, micro, we have our businesses and individual loans, we have machine facility, i.e. outboard motors, tricycles and stuff like that. If it's cash, monies released under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, money, cash loans, he has the highest, the record. As I'm talking to you now, within from November, because for the first 2 years, things were bad, we were doing recovery and we're restructuring and taking that money to do. But monies from state coffers, what we have now, if it's added, is over 100 million. I think 20, 40, 35, yes, about 95 million. You understand what I'm saying? So if it's cash, apart from that, you know, we came to meet these buses and small cars procured by my predecessor, and there were a lot of controversies. We released over 60 million by the president to settle that debt obligation. So in terms of fund, it's still not enough because there's a huge gap between demand and supply. We're having over 700 million worth applications. So you can imagine, it's even bigger than any bank's capitalization in Ghana. So the demand is huge. That is where the market is. So it is still not enough. However, the 2-year record of Nana Addo, when it comes to fund availability, it's a record. However, it's still rationed, it's still limited, it's still not enough. We haven't been able to bridge the gap between the demand and the supply. But I think we are doing so much work.
Sammy.
You want me to contribute?
To MASLOC. Sammy is a standard stakeholder. How can he talk about something he doesn't know?
I'm ambushing you.
MASLOC is a...
I'm just looking at it from the point of how critical it is. Yes.
MASLOC is the state agency which is responsible for supporting small businesses, micro businesses. And so to that extent, it's a very critical and important state agency that must be prioritized and supported by every government. If what my brother is saying is anything to go by, then it means that his agency is doing well.
You know he's doing well.
I have not really followed happenings at the agency, but what I can say is that the rationale for the establishment of that agency is very important. It is at the heart of our developmental agenda. If we want to enhance job creation, if we want to enhance wealth creation, then we need to support Ghanaian businesses to grow and expand. That is one of the surest ways of dealing with the problem of poverty, the problem of unemployment in the country. And one tool for achieving that objective is MASLOC. Successive administrations since the inception or since the establishment of that agency under the tenure of President Kufuor have committed to this vision. And so I'm glad to hear that the Akufo-Addo government is continuing that. Not too long ago, I picked some disturbing signals in the media about some happenings at MASLOC. I haven't really followed the issues. I think those issues will have to be double-checked, and investigated before one can make definite, commentary on that. But if what the chief executive officer is saying is anything to go by, then it means that we are doing well as a country, and I'm excited about that.
All right. Sammy, I'm going to begin with you on this particular one. The minority the PDS issue is refusing to go away. The minority yesterday released a statement signed by the minority leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu. Let me read just a bit of it. And the new Crusading Guide captures it as minority demands U.S. probe into PDS brouhaha. I'll read a bit about it and then we'll go into the discussions. The minority in Parliament has petitioned the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan, demanding formal investigations by the American government into the power distribution services debacle. The petition signed by the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, was personally hand-delivered at the U.S. Embassy in Accra by the Honorable Ranking Member of Parliament Committee on Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. The minority in a release Wednesday sought to trigger investigations under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of the U.S. Until its suspension, PDS was responsible for managing the retail and distribution business of the Electricity Company of Ghana service since March this year. Government suspended the concession agreement with the company, bringing back the Electricity Company of Ghana to be in full control of the power distribution. If I think we have a copy of the statement, the petition which was sent to the U.S. Embassy by the ranking member on Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Hopefully my producer will project it on your screen. Government, according to the Information Minister, Kojo Oponkruma, the decision was taken after government detected fundamental and material breaches of PDS obligation in the provision of payment securities for the transaction, which have been discovered upon further due diligence. He said government wants to secure ECG's assets that were handed to PDS as part of the concession agreement. As government conducts its investigations, there have been interesting revelations about how PDS came to win the contract. Yes, as you can see, that is a copy of the petition that was sent to the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan. Sammy, let me begin with you on this particular issue. Government says they've commenced some investigations into how PDS came to own the 51% stake in the management of the ECG assets, and shouldn't we wait for the process to run its course before we take such a step?
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to say a very good morning to our cherished viewers in the country and also across the globe. Yes, it is true that the National Democratic Congress, through our minority caucus in Parliament, yesterday petitioned the U.S. Embassy to launch a full-scale investigation into the raging PDS scandal. And as a party, we've had to do so because we are scandalized and deeply worried about the PDS scandal and the dangers it portends for this country. We are talking about a very critical and strategic national asset, the Electricity Company of Ghana, which employs over 6,000 Ghanaians and which is worth about 22 billion Ghana cedis. So it's a very important national asset which we need to protect. So far, the facts show that government is not being sincere and truthful to the people of this country as to its reasons, the real reasons and intention behind the suspension of the PDS concession, in our opinion. And we think that the 30-day inquiry announced by the Akufo-Addo government is self-serving and cannot and will not lead to anything positive. government itself, if you look at the facts surrounding this PDS debacle, is more or less an accomplice to what has happened. Because you are talking about a matter which involves the active participation of government institutions such as MIDA, the Millennium Development Authority, which is a government agency under the office of the president. You are talking about the acts or omissions of ministers of state, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Energy, and so on. And so government itself has many questions to answer. And that is why we cannot trust government to conduct any independent or credible investigations into this matter, because it is said that no man can be a judge in his own cause. You understand? So we think that we need an independent institution to conduct investigations into this matter so that we can unravel, this whole scandal. You would recall that on the 30th of July, the Minister of Information issued a statement on behalf of government announcing to us the suspension of the PDS concession on grounds of material and fundamental breaches of PDS's obligations under the agreement. The Minister of Energy followed suit, departed from this position, and rather pointedly accused PDS of perpetrating fraud against the people of this country. So the accusation moved from material and fundamental breaches to fraud. And legally speaking, the two are different. The effects of these two alleged breaches are different. Fraud is a vitiating factor. But whereas, general breaches can be remedied, fraud cannot be remedied. It is a vitiating factor, and that is why we say fraud vitiates all. And so which is which? And over the period that the Minister of Energy spoke, those words, alleging fraud and all that, that word fraud has also given way to another word, anomaly. So now you listen to other government functionaries speak, and they are referring to anomalies surrounding the payment instrument which was provided by PDS. We need to investigate these issues and know what really happened and the extent of the rot as far as this whole scandal is concerned. We are dealing with a President Akufo-Addo, who has perfected the act of being a clearing agent of his errant appointees. In time past, and in such similar cases of corruption, we have seen the alacrity and the dispatch with which corrupt officials of his government have been whitewashed and defended by the president himself. And so for us in the NDC, like I've already indicated, we do not trust that anything good can and will come out of the self-serving inquiry announced by government. The United States of America is a very key stakeholder in this whole PDS conversation, because that the PDS concession stems from the ECG turnaround project, which also stems from the power compact between the government of Ghana and the United States of America through the Millennium Challenge Corporation. The United States of America is supporting this country under the power compact with an amount of $498 million. $300 million of that amount has already been released to us. What is outstanding is just about $190 million or so. So they are the ones who are funding this whole arrangement. Even though the concessionaire will also have to inject some, capital and investments into ECG of about $500 million within the next 5 years. The primary source of funding that we are using for this ECG turnaround project is the $498 million that the United States of America is providing us. And so they should be interested in how these resources are being managed and how the whole process is being managed by the Akufo-Addo government. You see, so this is the reason for the minorities petition. Well, we've all followed this matter since the issue broke and since government announced the suspension of the deal. And personally, based on documents I've seen, based on people I have spoken to, I think that government is not telling Ghanaians the whole truth. Government is not being sincere about the real reasons for the suspension of the deal and the intention behind it. And I think, based on the available evidence that I have seen, that this whole PDS scandal has more to do with the greed and avarice of a select few. It has more to do with the nepotistic state capture agenda of President Akufo-Addo than it has to do with a defective payment security instrument. In this case, the insurance bond or guarantee we are talking about. I think it has more to do with state capture than it has to do with a defective payment, security. I'm sure you have seen the letter written by the Honorable Minister of Finance and cousin of President Akufo-Addo, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, dated the 27th of March 2019, a copy of which I have before me. And if you read this letter, you cannot but be scandalized by the content of this letter. Why on earth will our finance minister write a letter and seek to restructure the shareholding of a private company doing business with government with the intention of giving other Ghanaian investors whom we don't know an opportunity to acquire shares in PDS? PDS is a private company. Ally? It's a private company doing business with government. The whole essence of the ECG concession, the ECG turnaround project, is to rid ECG of government's interference or government's involvement. You understand? And get a private entity to handle the retail and power distribution business of ECG. That was a condition under the Power Compact. And that is why we initiated an international, transparent, and competitive bidding process to select a private company with the requisite financial and technical capacity to run this concession. No, they came in, continued the processes. We all know what happened. Those issues are already in the public domain. I don't want to belabor that. How the Ghanaian shareholding interest was increased from a minimum of 20% to 51%, and a cabal made up of, friends and appointees of President Akufo-Addo, cronies of President Akufo-Addo were put together to take up this 51% and all that. The role of Mr. Philip Ayensu, who is himself an appointee of President Akufo-Addo, on the NCA board, who is a major shareholder of one of the Ghanaian companies who has shares in PDS, share interest of 28% and all that. All these things are matters of public record. So I wouldn't want to belabor that. We know what happened. Now, fast forward, a concession was awarded to PDS. PDS took over the management or the assets of ECG on the 1st of March 2019, 5 months ago. And then our finance minister writes to this private company that I want to restructure your shareholding and give other Ghanaian investors the opportunity to acquire shares in the company. Why? Is Ken Ofori-Atta a shareholder of PDS? Is he a director of PDS? Is he the board chairman or a board member of PDS? What interest does he have in PDS? Or what interest is he seeking in PDS to want to restructure the shareholding of a private company? Metro TV is a private company. MTN is a private company. Multimedia is a private company. Can the finance minister write a letter to them that I want to restructure your shareholding, dilute the shares of original shareholders, and allow for other people who are his cronies to acquire shares? I'm sure you have seen the letter. Currently, the 51% arrangement. TG Energy Solutions has a percentage of 28%. GTS Power Limited has 10%. Santa Power Limited has 13%. Now, if you look at the current arrangement, which is being canvassed by the finance minister, and which has been objected to by the original shareholders, TG Energy Solutions will come to 4%, from 28% to 4%. That is how far their shares will be diluted. Santa Power will move from 13% to 5%. GTS will move from 10% to 2%. You know the new shareholders who will be introduced? Mr. Otinjesi, the husband of the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Barbara Gyasi, is being introduced into this whole into the shareholding of PDS at this hour, after Parliament has already approved an agreement, after the bid process has already ended and Parliament approved the agreement and the shareholding structure of PDS. Mr. Otinjesi, friend of President Akufo-Addo, husband of the Minister of Tourism, is being introduced into this whole scheme to take 15%. Another crony of the president, called, the owner of Seconds, Mr. Banfo, and his brother, Mr. Chum, who own TBK World Plus, are also being introduced to take another 15% at this time. A state agency, which is not supposed to have any interest in this concession, because the concession, by law and by the guidelines governing it, must necessarily be run by a private entity, is being introduced to take 10% shares. And the 11% remaining shares is what will be distributed to these people. This is illegal because it varies what Parliament approved. When Parliament was approving the PDS concession agreement, they were presented with the details of the shareholding, interest of the various companies in PDS. And Parliament approved that. And that was essential because Parliament needed to assess the technical and financial capacity of these companies. These companies, we are told, were selected after a competitive bidding process. At least Miracle was selected after a competitive bidding process. We know that no evaluation was done for the Ghanaian, participation, the local participation. No competitive bidding was done for that. So after Parliament has approved the deal, after the bid process had already ended, the finance minister writes this letter. And if I can read that to you, he says, "Dear Lawyer Akutuampao," he wrote this letter to Mr. Akutuampao, who is described as the chairman of the negotiating committee, ECG Private Sector Partnership Accra. I don't know why Lawyer Akutuampao was appointed into this office. We know him to be one of the lawyers of President Akufo-Addo, his friend, a long-time friend. And the title of the letter is Ghanaian Ownership of Power Distribution Services Ghana Limited. Now, the relevant portions. He says, following the conclusion of ECG's transfer of its power distribution business to PDS, it is of paramount importance to ensure the security of the PDS business and its ownership by Ghanaian shareholders. In order to safeguard Ghana's Ghanaian ownership of PDS and to ensure that control of PDS is secured with Ghanaians in a unified manner, the ministry requires that the Ghanaian shareholding is consolidated and held by a single newly incorporated Ghanaian entity, the SPV, in which the initial Ghanaian shareholders and or any other Ghanaian investors from time to time would hold shares. What mischief was Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta seeking to cure? I've heard our brothers in the MPP try to defend this indefensible act, justify that by indicating that, the finance minister wrote this because he wanted to protect Ghana's interests. He wanted to ensure that at all times, the 51%, shareholding interest in PDS was held by Ghanaians. Let's stop telling us these cock and bull stories. Because you know that by law and by the requirements of this whole process, 51% of whoever will be the concessionaire of this, ECG concession must always remain in the hands of Ghanaians. You don't need another SPV to ensure that that is done. So the finance minister had no business, had no legal capacity to write this letter. And do you know that it is the refusal of the original shareholders to play ball, the refusal of the original shareholders to succumb to these illegal demands of the finance minister? That is the real reason for the suspension of the PDS deal that Ghanaians are not being told. You see, apart from this letter, I've referred to you about the new shareholding arrangement, their canvassing and all that. My brother, is it not surprising that in one government, I think you will have your time, in one government, you have members of the government who are appointees. They are still appointees of the government. Mr. Joseph Banning, one of the directors of, TG Energy Solutions, is an assistant director of protocol at the office of the president. He's still a member of Akufo-Addo's government. He works with the president at his office. These are the people that the Minister of Energy is saying have perpetrated fraud against us. And yet these people are still at post. And you want us to trust that government can conduct any independent investigations into this? My brother, this PDS scam is a corruption scandal of monumental proportions. And I dare say, the biggest scam ever to have been perpetrated against the people of this country. A typical case of Onchini. And you see, people are making, as a result of their greed and avarice, they are making every effort to appropriate shares of people and all that. And that is what is leading to the rancor and the wrangling between PDS and government. So we think that the United States of America should take an interest in this matter. We want them to launch formal investigations into this matter, unravel this whole scandal. Let us know the perpetrators. And let us prosecute those who must be prosecuted and sanction those who must be sanctioned to serve as a deterrent to others. The increased spate of corruption in our country is becoming very disturbing. Corruption is an enemy to every developing society. And when it is not checked, the poor and the less privileged are always the hardest hit. And that is why I think that all well-meaning Ghanaians, irrespective of our political affiliations, must support an independent, a truly independent inquiry into this matter. The president cannot be a judge in his own cause because he is neck deep in this whole corruption scandal.
Mr. Stephen Amoah, the NDC doesn't seem to trust the processes that have been initiated to unravel what might have gone wrong with the PDS agreement. I heard the energy minister at one point say that due diligence is not a one-day thing, but it's also a process. And now the matter is now the minority has gone a step further by bringing in the U.S., petitioning the U.S. government, saying that their taxpayers' money is also involved, and it is very important that they take an interest in this particular matter. Are you surprised that the NDC has taken this step?
Not at all. Not at all, but I think before I start, I was telling my regards to my Inshieso constituency in Kumasi, all the police station executives, the coordinators, the chiefs.
Are you contesting for any
and the pastors,
particular position there?
And the chief imams there.
You intend to?
Definitely.
Oh, okay.
If they open nominations, and then the constituency executives.
You are planning on
my greetings to
running for the primaries?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Boss, if you listen carefully to the preamble that my brother just preceded his argument with, the same person saying that. That's what I was writing what he was saying. We need to investigate and know what happened. At the same time, he concluded that there is scandal. So if we have not even done the investigations, if we have not even finished the investigations, you are asking that we should investigate. You are saying that there is scandal. So which is which? Because when you talk about scandal, it is something that is legally wrong. And what do we term something legally wrong? When it is proven. It could be probably after investigation by a very respectable, competent team, or even a court of competent jurisdiction or whatever. So you, the same person, you're asking for investigation. You are the same person, deceiving the public that there's scandal. So which is which? If you know a scandal, why do you want us to spend money, time,
if
resources?
you use the word deceiving, then why was the contract in the first place suspended?
I'm coming there. What
All
I'm
right.
saying is that his point has just actually been directed to the fact that it's just one of the mischievous attempts by the minority party. Because one of the biggest things known about the NDC and its government is about corruption on the continent of Africa, on the globe. Everybody knows when it comes to corruption. NDC, even if you want free government ever existed in our history, you can't take out NDC. So they always want to play that equalization. MPP2 is corrupt. I can never sit here and say that MPP, we are angels. I can't say that. There's no, I mean, in Tree they say, Osra Bofo, you need a former Bofo. People make mistakes. But what I'm trying to say is that everything about this, let me ask you, MIDA is not US body, Millennium Development Authority.
It is not.
It's not. So what is it?
It is a government agency under the office of the president, which is funded with taxpayers' money. The members of MIDA are appointees of the president. So MIDA is a 100% government of Ghana agency.
No, I'm asking.
It's not a foreign agency.
What has is it Millennium Challenge?
Why don't you address?
No, it's a discussion.
I'm
Maybe he wants me to provide him some.
No, I'm coming. I haven't said no. I'm coming. I'm raising issues.
You let him
if you
raise the
talk
issues.
about Millennium Challenge Authority or goals or whatever, whose agenda is that?
It's part of the U.S. government agenda.
But so thank you. So now you have answered. Let me move on.
But
I'm coming.
It's public knowledge.
We have a long period. He spoke.
Yes.
Give me my time to analyze my things. I beg you.
Yes.
Secondly, we have IFC. What is International Finance Corporation? All these bodies were transaction advisors. What did they say about it? Were they satisfied with PDS or not? NDC pre-qualified them. The body came under NDC. So if along the stream...
What body?
Oh, please. I'm talking about PDS. When you're talking, I kept quiet. Can you allow some sort of civility? Thank you very much. Then a government start doing business with the body. Along the line, that's why I have review and adjustment. One thing about the NDC is that I always say that in terms of technical know-how, understanding of issues, either they don't understand or display of ego trips and unconscious incompetence on the part of the NDC. They also want to deceive people and lie. They think politics is all about lies. All over the world. Tony Blair, what induced his decision in taking back the railway system in the UK? Years back when he was the Prime Minister. You can enter into whatever, this is acquisition or merger, businesses or investment. Along the stream, the critical activity, you can uncover something, you put that thing on hold, you investigate, terminate it or continue, pending the results that you get. This is not out of gear. And I want Sammy to understand, when you're talking about shareholding, that's why we have repurchase and other things. Right to shares and other things. If he doesn't understand that business, at any time there could be, we can reopen shareholding for other shareholders to come on, but depending on the need, depending on the transactional arrangement, depending on what is prevailing, depending on even the alternative you use getting to your goal. This is a specialized investment area. If my brother doesn't understand, he should keep quiet. The fact of the matter is that you say that somebody is Akufo-Addo's friend. Ghana, who is not somebody's friend? Is Sammy Gyamfi, he's not my friend? Are you not my friend? So if even that is true, I don't even know, but if that is true, because somebody is a friend to Akufo-Addo, the person cannot do business in Ghana. Because somebody marries another person in government, the person can't do business. What kind of analysis is this? The NDC should concentrate on constructive analysis and criticisms. Because you were corrupt, because we had Sada, Jida, Woyomi, we had Bas Brandon, we had Gangantuan, raping public purse, and everybody in Ghana knows that when it comes to corruption, NDC can never be compared. It's unparalleled, they know. So if you want to get issues, get the right data, process your information, let Ghanaians have facts and figures and know. We live in a society that we practice extensive family pattern. We don't do nucleus. Everybody is somebody's friend, so the person cannot do business. I think we should rather laud the MPP government. Because if indeed the nepotism that he was talking about is a word that was gotten from Italian word and it means nephew. In any case, all the names he listed, which of them is a relative to the Akufo-Addo family? Which of them? I don't know. Is there any official document to prove that somebody is somebody's husband? The person is a friend to Akufo-Addo. For all you know, Akufo-Addo is the president of the land. Everybody is his friend. He's supposed to serve the interest, accept everyone. He's supposed to operate open culture system. Is Mahama not Akufo-Addo's friend? Are they enemies? No, they are not. So these are, I think, trivial issues that we should not consider. In any case, under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, are we experiencing the power outages that they left us with? When you talk, they say, oh, MPP never added whatever it is to 1 even kilowatt. Please, go and check 209. Honorable Dufour, Finance Minister then and the NDC, his first statement on the floor of the Parliament, T1, T2, Asogli, all the major, power, whatever, gadgets or documents or tools or machines or policies, we and the MPP, we were almost through with all of them. He stated, go and bring that statement. The fact is, NDC, anytime they are in government, instead of them concentrating on building this country, they get the country deteriorated. MPP will come, will begin to work and live this country. They will use propaganda and lies. The fact of the matter is that anything that is bad, NDC, they do it worse. Anything that is good, MPP will do it better. It doesn't mean we are perfect. And I will never say NDC never did anything good when they were in government. No. But between the two, in terms of aggregate performance, you cannot compare NDC to MPP. If we ourselves, nobody induced our government to come out, we could have shielded this thing. What is wrong with it? And they have not even drawn the final inferences. They have not concluded. They are saying that something has gone. What is it about? When you're talking about mergers and acquisition or even takeover of assets, the key things that we consider is that, is the whole deal secured or not? If it's secured, you have to really go through this insurance stuff and other things so that in case the unexpected happens, there's security to protect your assets. They did this thing, bodies, international bodies and other things were even satisfied with. And then along the line, government realized that, oh, there was an issue between the provider and probably its company and other things. They found out that, oh, from the other side, they raised issues about the insurance. The government said, okay, hold on, let me do the right thing and check first. What is wrong with that?
Mr. Amoah,
no, what is wrong with that?
Couldn't some of these due diligence?
What is wrong with that?
Couldn't these things have been done before the deal sent to Parliament for approval?
But you think it was not done?
That's why are we having this problem then?
What problem are we having? Even now have we concluded? But if we raise issue, if there's an issue, information, and I think I need to review what I did, what is wrong with that? Is this thing that should raise this whole lies and when you're talking about corrupt people, I hear, and then this is like they are singing choruses. What Honorable Okudje, to my friend, was talking about, it's the same thing, Sammy Gyamfi is talking about. That's how the NDC is. They sit in their comfort rooms, they plan lies, propaganda, and they will come public, let's go and do this. The fact of the matter is that the Ghanaian community, the people, the citizenry, they know that between the NDC and MPP, if it is corruption, if it's the safekeeping of state resources and assets, if it's about managing the economy of this country, look, if you like, I've been throwing this challenge. Nobody wants to take it serious. When Nana Addo Dankwa took over this country in 2017, January 7th, check all parameters that are of importance to our lives. From primary macro indicators, secondary macro indicators, pro-poor policies, industries were growing, negative 0.5. Check now. Agriculture 3%. Check now. Teachers' allowance, nurses' allowance, they were all gone. If you can pay your child's school fees, then you say free SHS is no good. And this is, they have nothing to say. There are, oh, their kids will stay home for long back, parents will have to. I went to secondary school 20 years ago. Let me ask you, we're having long term, 3 months, sometimes 3 months, 2 weeks. We're doing vacation classes. Aside vacation classes, I was born by illiterate parents. But my father was paying Kofi Asante for my chemistry, Aki and Ola, one for trigonometry, one for statistics, Mr. Kankam for physics. These things were there. Getting boarding house 20 years ago was a problem. So why do we sit there for NDC to always lie to us? We're supposed to, Ghana was going to go through a situation where over 100,000 young people will be without education, contributing to insecurity, drug abuse, teenage pregnancies. All these problems are being dealt with within 2.5 years. I'm not saying Ghana is heaven. Everything that Nana promised, go and check. I'm not saying things are perfect. Everybody is happy. But you can't compare 8 years of deterioration, deplorable state of our country, to 2.5 years of Akufo-Addo. We do this, say, hey, show example, you show example, they say, hey. At least go to Obuasi. They're 1 million per constituency. They are constructing clinic. Go and check. Is that right now? Go to Achem, is it Achem South in Ashanti region? Go and check. Big market, 1 million thing. Go to Talensi, one dime, one distance. It's there. Go to Bunsa North and tell them, go and check the warehouses. Akufo-Addo's government has not finished changing Ghana. We cannot even in 4 years. It's a process. That is a development. But the fact of the matter is that anything that he said he would do, and look, we came to inherit, look, the deficit of this country, which is very key in every country, 9.3%. And if you inherit such situation, with all these problems, even Christian hospitals did not want to take national health insurance. They decided not to patronize because of billions of debt. NDC destroyed almost everything. We want to build this country. I mean, definitely there could be mistakes. I'm not concluding, having read the entire document. There could be problems. That is why we have monitoring and evaluation. That's why we have review and adjustment. If you know how to build a country, if you know how to develop a society, these things can come up. Then you review and check whether they are correct or not. If they are wrong, you do the right thing. And the NDC cannot get anything to compare. Always they want to do on propaganda. Is it not the MPs that were taking double salaries illegally? When you talk about the corruption, they say, who have you jailed? Please, it's a criminal offense. How many NDC past appointees are in court now? Well, about 5. We have Senate, MASLOC, Coco, but they are all in court. Go and check. Most of them are going. And it's a process. It's a criminal offense. Tell me, we're in power 8 years. Who was jailed? They talk about corruption. And the NDC, weren't they jailed? The fact is, I can never say MPP is perfect or there's no corruption in MPP. In human institution, I cannot talk about that, even in churches. But the fact of the matter is that NDC, they don't have anything remarkable, anything illustrious, anything tangible, credible, for them to talk about the way they are talking. MPPs, they think propaganda, and they've been able to succeed in buying some of the media guys to project their agenda. Who wants to bring President Mahama back? He's somebody personally I respect and love. I can never speak against him. But his leadership as president will forever be detrimental, inimical to the performance of our republic. Who wants to bring him back? What happened? NDC as a social democrat, what did they do?
PDS.
All poor policies. How can social democrat withdraw teachers' allowance? How can social democrat withdraw nurses' allowance? How can social democrat destroy national health insurance? How could they do all this in 8 years? Go and check the amount of money they got from Kelco, the amount of money they got from all the minerals. How come NDC, whenever they are in government, weren't they that put Ghana into a situation where we're in epic? Every day we come and build and they destroy. And because they can lie. But I want to tell my brother here that there is God. I'm not saying we are perfect. I'm not saying people haven't failed in some areas. I'm not saying Ghana is heaven. But 2.5 years against 8 years. Look, it wasn't NDC that said they build roads comparable to Nkrumah. Look, where are the roads? Because under MPP's 8 years, from Accra here to Tema to Volta region, major trunk road, to Central region, major trunk road, Kumasi to major trunk road, Kumasi to Accra, major trunk road, in Saon bypass, in Koko bypass, Kumasi to Western region, through Awasu, major trunk road. These roads now are about 98% efficient and effective. And this is major trunk roads between Fofoso and Sola. You drive 15 minutes, you don't even meet a car. Go. That's the route I live. Now, within few years, they opened that road, 2016. Go and check it now. The NDC, apart from lies, propaganda, deception, using force and other things, framing up issues, going into hidings and bringing out lies. The NDC is not even supposed to be given the opportunity to manage even a district.
All right.
Okay. It's not about lies. Boss, I haven't finished. He spoke. It's about, no, can I finish, please? Because
okay, you conclude.
You spoke like
Stephen.
20 minutes.
Stephen.
I've spoken like
Stephen.
12 or so.
Stephen.
I haven't checked. So I have 8 minutes.
No, Stephen.
The advice I'll give to my government is that
yes.
I have not had the opportunity to read all these documents. I can't come here and lie. And I think our government should do the right thing to let Ghanaians know exactly what went wrong and what went right. whether there was misconception, if the government wanted to cheat, just insurance, you could have fixed it. It's not anything, but because MP, look, if Nanado wanted corruption to be something in his government, he wouldn't have appointed Amidu, NDC top guru, leading member of the NDC. It means the man, in terms of readiness, preparedness, in terms of entertaining the tenacity to fighting corruption in our country, opening his doors, he was not afraid.
There's a letter
so
here.
this is stop talking about.
There's a letter here signed.
No, I think it's
what I'm saying is that, I'm
Sammy,
coming, Sammy, take your time.
please. You,
Papa,
I'm asking a question.
ask a question.
I'm asking a question. How did this whole thing blow up? Was there an attempt by the finance?
What blew up?
I mean, the suspension of the agreement. If
the man says he hasn't read all these documents.
Oh, but I'm coming.
Sammy, let me. I'm the one asking the question here. You are saying that
Sammy is G3. He knows what he. Sammy is my brother. He knows. When Sammy is hot, you see he does these things. I he would have kept quiet. But Sammy, take
I wanted to find out from you.
The NDC is not good for you. Come home. Sammy, you should come. You know NDC
My brother,
is not good.
can I come in now?
Sammy, no, I haven't. Oh, no, you're asking a question.
Yes, I was asking
and
a
let
question.
him finish his question.
There's a letter here signed. I give it to you to read. Signed by the finance minister.
And what does he mean?
And no.
So tell me what does it mean?
Was there an attempt to change the shareholding structure?
Change?
Yes.
What is change shareholder? The man, read it. Read it.
Yes.
In fact, it's not clear. So you look at what is there. I mean, honest with you.
But
my eye is different from you. But what is there right now is about consolidation, protection of the Ghanaian shareholding. Check, read it. What is wrong with it? Just read the document.
Are you saying
what
that,
is in this? That's a suggestion corruption.
Wait,
Boss,
are you saying that?
Read an extract.
After Parliament.
I'm saying that. Read just an extract that is suggesting or impugning corruption into this whole.
No, I have not said that.
And let me tell you one thing. Sammy is failing to know is that electricity company of Ghana. ECG. Sorry, it is the bona fide property, financial asset property of Ghana. Who is managing the asset of Ghana in terms of finances? Is the finance minister. He has every right. He has the tenacity. He has the authority. He has the power. He has the legal right. He has the freedom to ensure that he protects the assets of our country to benefit us today and the larger population. So whatever he wants to do, shareholding at all times can be worked on. That is why I told him, we have a right to shares, we have repurchasing, we have different forms. Because it's always ongoing processes. Even sometimes, along the line, you realize that you need more money to fix other things that were not properly anticipated before the deal. You can still open up shares that even the owners could purchase additional shares or other people can come in. There's nothing in this. The NDC has nothing substantial, tangible, credible, nothing evident to show that there is anything about corruption in this. I've seen something. Please hold on. Let me do my investigation. Whatever the inferences, the outcome, the conclusions may be, I will proceed and make the appropriate decision processes, not out of arbitrariness. I to say, government to burn this is unless a Kufado's government that is ready to fight corruption.
The discussion,
and Sammy knows.
The discussion is getting very heated here.
In a very friendly manner. In a very friendly manner.
Those doing the discussion with me, Mr. Stephen Amoah, who is the CEO of MASLOC, and the NDC's communications officer, Sammy Gyamfi. This morning, we are going for a short break, and when we return, Sammy would pick his final presentation on this particular matter, and then we'll go into other issues. Please stay. 43. Welcome back from that break, and if you're watching us, this is the newspaper review segment of Good Morning Ghana with me, Wolanyo Frank Nyonato. Those doing the discussions with me this morning have been Sammy Gyamfi, who is a communications officer of the NDC, and Mr. Stephen Amoah, who is the CEO of MASLOC. Sammy, when Stephen was making his point, I saw you shaking your head. To a lot of issues, and he says that in every agreement there can be reviews and adjustment as you go along if you detect certain things, and I believe that is fair. You disagree?
Thank you. Clearly, my senior brother is handicapped as far as this issue is concerned because he has admitted to the fact that he's not privy to some of the documentation that I have referenced in my submission. And so I can understand why he took a detour into issues which have no bearing or connection with what we are discussing, talking about for Solar Road and Damango Road and such tangentials. But let me deal with the real issues before I come to the tangentials. Number one, he made a point that if the NDC and Sammy Gyamfi are calling for an investigation into this matter, then why are we jumping the gun to conclude that this matter is scandalous? He made that point. Because for him, we can only make such a conclusive statement after investigations are concluded. That is not true. His minister, our minister for energy, I'm saying that the conclusion. No, please. You didn't allow me. You didn't allow me to interject you once. So I beg you.
The same person calling
I beg
for
you.
Investigation.
Yes.
The same person in concluding that there's scandal.
So let me show you why you're wrong.
Why should we spend money to investigate?
So let me show you why you're wrong.
This is very logical.
Let me show you why you're
very
wrong.
Logical.
Government says they are conducting an investigation into this PDS scandal, right?
Yes.
They are saying that they have launched a 30-day inquiry into the PDS scandal. Is that not the case?
Yes, it is the case. Government has
Yet
come out.
hasn't the finance minister and his deputies told Ghanaians that PDS has perpetrated fraud against the people of this country?
Oh.
How were they able to arrive at the conclusion that there is fraud in this matter? I have not even spoken about fraud.
Which document?
How were they able? I can pull out the stories. He knows that the Deputy Minister of Energy, the Minister of Energy have made conclusive statements that PDS has perpetrated fraud against the people of this country. And yet, you say that you are conducting an inquiry into this matter.
That's not true.
Yes, we are calling on the United States of America to launch investigations into this matter. But we have conclusive evidence, such as the letter I just referenced to. These are hardcore evidence, which speak to the state capture attempts
the hearing of
by Ken Ofori-Atta.
Read to the hearing of the public. Let him read it.
So when we have conclusive...
There's nothing in this letter.
No,
But I mean, what is it?
This is not how this program is run.
You know, Stephen, please.
You came in.
Please.
Sammy, continue.
Stephen, I beg you.
Sammy,
please.
Sammy, you are right.
So I'm making the point that... So I'm making the point that we have hardcore evidence, conclusive evidence.
There's nothing
that speaks to the attempts by our finance minister to restructure the shareholding of a private entity, PDS.
But they are doing business with government.
Exactly.
Can you allow me? If I'm doing business with you, if I tender a job and I win a job and I'm doing business with you, can you restructure my shareholding? What has my shareholding got to do with the business I'm doing with you? He says that it is normal in business for shareholders to sell their shares and all that. Yes, but is that what is happening here?
Of course, yes.
If shareholders themselves say that we want to relinquish part of our shares to another entity, that is normal. That happens in commerce. That happens in trade. But not another private person, in this case a finance minister, who has no interest in the company. He is not a shareholder. He is not a board chairman, a board member, a director. He is not supposed to have any interest in that company, saying that I want to restructure your company and bring other investors to come and acquire shares. And he goes to bring his colleagues and his friends. And you are saying that that is normal? Now, he then says that the body PDS came under the NDC and PDS was pre-qualified by the NDC. What is he talking about? Okay. Let us be factual in our submissions. That is a lie. It is not true. Okay. Under the NDC, the only process which took place as part of the competitive tender process was a request for qualification process, through which 6 companies, including Miracle, was shortlisted.
What are PDS?
PDS was not even in existence. PDS came into existence after the NDC left office. There was no company. PDS is a consortium made up of Miracle, made up of TG Energy Solutions, incorporated in 2015, made up of GTS Power Limited, which was incorporated in 2018. Made up of Santa Power Limited. Made up of Santa Power Limited. Made up of Santa Power Limited. Santa Power Limited was incorporated on 26th April 2018. So how can you say that PDS existed at that time? You don't know what you're talking about. Not just that. He says that MIDA is a government agency. You see, they are trying to shift blame. Bring in MIDA, bring in IFC. He said MIDA is a foreign agency. That is what he said.
And when I was correcting him, he was not accepting the correction. That is a lie. I can read to you what is on MEDA's website. MEDA is a government of Ghana agency established by an act of parliament. They operate under the office of the president. They are funded with the taxpayers' money. I have forwarded to you minutes of MEDA at which the PDS concession was approved. And if you can refer to that just to confirm that I'm reading from the right, document, my brother, you realize that at their 23rd board meeting, paragraph 4 of their minutes, the summary of minutes. In fact, even before that, paragraph 1 say voting members. Number 1, Professor Amoah Bedu, chairperson of the board and Government of Ghana principal representative. Number 2, Honorable Rompet Ahom Kalimsi, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry and representative of the Minister for Trade and Industry. Number 3, Mr. Joe Teki, representative of the Minister for Business Development. And other personalities who are all appointees of government.
So what are you saying?
So he's not saying anything.
Mr. Stephen.
When you hear the MPP people say,
yes, no.
When you hear the MPP people say that MEDA okayed it, as though MEDA is a foreign entity, and that MEDA is supposed to be blamed and not the president and his government, I get alarmed because MEDA is a government agency. So IFC? If your own people, including you,
IFC,
are blaming MEDA for its complicity in this matter, in other words, what you are doing is that you are blaming your own government if you don't know. Again, he says that nepotism, I'm talking about nepotism, I should name one family relative of Ken Ofori-Atta or the president who is involved in this matter. And that nepotism is from a certain Italian word which has to do with nephew. My brother, check the meaning of nepotism. It's got nothing to do with nephew. It has to do with a culture of favoring friends, cronies, family relatives, and so on, with the power or authority that one possesses. It is very clear that Mr. Philip Ayensu, who is the main shareholder of TG Energy Solutions, is an appointee of President Akufo-Addo, who sits on the NCA board. Mr. Ejapa Mesa, another director of TG Energy Solutions, is an MPP member of parliament for Second D.
As at the time, was he not a lawyer even before he became?
Exactly. Yes, so, but he is also, Masa, even put that aside, Ken Ofori-Atta, who wrote this illegal letter, seeking to acquire shares in PDS through his cronies. Is he not the cousin of President Akufo-Addo? Sophia Koko, who doesn't know Sophia Koko to be a known acolyte of Gabi Ochedako? Let me not go into certain things. Mr. Otin Jesse, who doesn't know him to be a friend of President Akufo-Addo? So the issues we are talking about
Sammy,
are factual.
I would rather want...
Now, Walanyo...
Wait, I would rather... No, Stephen, please.
You are heckling me, I don't know. When he was talking, I was quiet.
I'm not heckling you. I'm only saying, let's take... No, Stephen, please.
No, I'm not talking.
Yes. I'm saying that... No, I'm saying, please.
Okay, sorry.
I know, please, viewers are watching, and I would want us to stick to the issue. This is a very important... I'm saying that let us not bring certain names here and all those things. Let us speak to the issue, please. I beg you.
I'm speaking to the issues, and the names are part of the issues. And whatever I've said are factual, so I'll move on. Unless you want to show
I'm not
that what
saying
I've said
I'm only
is not
saying
factual.
that. Let us speak to the issue.
Now, he made a point that when we talk about corruption, the NDC is a master at that. And you see, I get shocked when our brothers in the MPP speak like that. We know, according to the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, headed by Professor H.E. Prempe, that since 2017, when they assumed office, this nation has lost a whopping 9.6 billion Ghana cedis through corruption, according to the CDD. Is it, even as we speak now, we know, according to the Auditor General, that 5.4 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 54 billion OCDs, has been paid to Kroll for no work done by the Finance Minister, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. We know, according to the Auditor General again, that the NHIS has incurred liabilities of 23 million Ghana cedis through corruption, according to the Auditor General reports of 2018. Is it the Bosgate scandal? Where 5 million liters of contaminated fuel were sold in flagrant disregard for the NPA Act and the Public Procurement Act, and yet those who were culpable were cleared until date. The monies have not been paid to the state coffers. Is that what we are talking about, the Bosgate scandal? Are we talking about the premise fuel diversion scandal, and through which Ghana lost 23 million Ghana cedis through corrupt, the corrupt activities of elements of the new patriotic party? Are we talking about the Ghana Export Promotion Authority scandal, where the CEO, Gifty Clenham, and her deputy approved illegal rent allowances, per diems for themselves, misappropriated state funds, and to date, those monies have not been refunded to the state? Are we talking about galamsey fraud?
Let's come
No,
back.
you spoke about... So,
yes, so
this
let's
government is an embodiment of corruption. They eat corruption. They breathe corruption. Never in the history of Ghana has this country seen such a corrupt government. And that is why all the anti-corrupt agencies, corruption agencies, are saying that. We've lost 9.6 billion Ghana cedis through corruption. How much have you invested in free SHS? 3 billion. And yet you have wasted 9.6 billion on corruption. And you have the effrontery to accuse us of corruption. Have you established corruption against any appointee of the NDC? Have you adduced any evidence to support the spurious claims you made against us when you were in opposition? You spoke about the inflation of the Rich Hospital project, the Kumasi Airport project. Where is the evidence to support all that? Then, my brother, he talks about they being the ones to have solved Dumso. And as I heard him say that, I cringed. Because you see, our brothers in the NPP have no shame. They have no shame at all. Ask him what the Akufo-Addo government has done to end Dumso. One thing they have done. Dumso was a generational problem. It has to do with, first of all, the generation of power. It was also a financial problem as a result of the legacy debt in the sector and all that. Their vice president, our vice president, then running me, Dr. Bawumia, in 2016, check, Google it. My Joe Online reported it, Ghana Web reported it. He says, Mahama deserves no credit for fixing Dumso. In an interview with Joy FM, he acknowledged that Mahama has solved Dumso by 2016 because he had increased Ghana's generation capacity from a little over 1,800 megawatts to about 5,000 megawatts. He had introduced ESLA to deal with the legacy debts in the energy sector. So we solved Dumso, not you.
So, Mr. Seven,
thank you. I will do that in 2 minutes.
Yes, in 2 minutes, please.
I'll do that. Then he says that. He talks about issues of insecurity. He talks about development. You see, how can even an NPP person get the audacity, if you have any respect for Ghanaians, when 3 children in this country have been kidnapped and to date their parents don't know where they are, and you still have the audacity to sit on TV and you talk about insecurity? He talks about development. What have you done since you came into office? Being the most resource government in our history, you've had access to 210 billion Ghana cedis. Loans alone. Our public debt has gone up by a whopping 84 billion. Tax revenue, over 130 billion in 2.5 years. What have you done with this? Say we are building a clinic at Obuasi. You see, they celebrate mediocrity. That is their problem. Look at the percentage of capital, look at capital expenditure, the percentage of capital expenditure to GDP and how it is dwindling under them. What are the hospitals you have built? You gave me 2 minutes, I beg you. You gave me 2 minutes and I'm using it well. So you shouldn't be talking about this. I want to conclude within the 2 minutes you gave me. So you see, back to PDS. I'm coming back to PDS because you are stampeding me.
Oh, please.
I beg you. You gave me 2 minutes. 2 minutes, the 2 minutes is not up and you know that. So I beg you.
Let me allow
I'm just wrapping up.
Just wrap up, please.
This issue about the guarantee he spoke of, it is not a mere anomaly matter. The whole essence of the ECG turnaround project is to get a private entity with the financial muscle to turn ECG around, invest an amount of about $500 million in ECG over the next 5 years. So the guarantee is to serve as proof of financial capacity, and it is to secure the assets of ECG so that in case of default, Ghana can fall on that. That is how essential and critical that guarantee is. And so if today you are telling us that guarantee was fraudulent, in another breath you say it is fraught with anomalies and fundamental breaches and all that, what you are saying in effect is that your government has failed to ensure that that one thing which can secure you and I, our interest and the interest of ECG, has not been done. And this is the more reason why the United States of America and other independent agencies must launch investigations into this matter. You cannot say that you want the truth to come out and yet be against investigations? If what the NDC is calling for has to do with credible, independent investigations into this matter, what is your problem? You want us to rely on the clearing agent once again to investigate this matter, or Martin Amidu, who, according to him, says that you have crippled his office, public officers, and appointees of President Akufo-Addo are frustrating him? What are you talking about?
So your final take on this particular matter. Move on.
Interesting. Ghanaians are watching.
Yeah.
In which year did we realize that all the rivers in Ghana, almost, I won't say all, had become so dirty, they were so colored, which induced, I'm coming, no, boss, but you talked about Galamsey. Can you allow me to also talk?
We are talking about rules and so many.
No, but you talked about Galamsey. So I have to reply in that sense. He said that Galamsey this and the MPP, and I'm saying that, in which year?
I spoke about the Galamsey fraud documentary of Anas Aremiya Anas, which captured appointees of President Akufo-Addo collecting bribes on tapes.
Can I also allow me to
and yet those people are still working at the office of the president.
He's asking me what the Akufo-Addo government does when it comes to electricity. We are paying millions every month. Go and check. Because of the fictitious contract they left us in.
One fictitious contract.
Please.
Sammy,
I kept quiet.
NDC, I'm giving you a dose of your own
NDC in all the institutions.
You are
entangled this government and the people of Ghana in fictitious, dubious, corrupt contract.
And you haven't prosecuted
and they are
anybody.
chopping from that.
Sammy,
what is
if I was the one who said that, you would have one agreement. What agreement is it? If I said that, you would have told me to stick to the issues. So tell him to stick to the issues. Or else you should adduce evidence to show one fictitious ND contract that we signed.
Sammy, you are suffering from JJJJ. Stop.
Show me one fictitious agreement.
I think you are a legal practitioner.
You think you are in office to talk?
Student.
Please.
Evidence.
Allow
before him, a case.
I should allow him to lie against us.
Let him make his point. Allow him to.
Where is the evidence that
Sammy, you have your.
When he was heckling me.
Stop it.
Sammy, please.
Spoke to me and I stopped.
You no problem. You don't.
Is Sammy not a legal practitioner or a student?
Please.
Let him withdraw that.
Before a case is
please. Nobody has signed
before a case is open in court for proceedings to follow, they establish what is called prima facie. You cannot conclude on that someone is guilty or not.
It is not true.
Sammy.
You are talking about things you don't know.
You don't establish prima facie.
Who establishes prima facie?
It's not established.
Now you don't want to talk about who establishes prima facie. But the man is talking about legal issues that he doesn't understand.
You know the NDC.
Tell me.
He's in trouble.
What fictitious agreement did the NDC sign? You think you can get away with that? Tell me one fictitious agreement that we signed, which is in court. Show me one.
I'm showing you.
Can I ask you?
In my jurisdiction.
I will be quiet. You should just show.
No, you're not in my jurisdiction.
Please.
No, in my jurisdiction.
You said energy sector.
Oh, please.
Sammy,
please. Can you behave yourself?
Please.
No, can you behave yourself?
When I was talking, you are making false allegations on a very big platform like this.
That
we signed fictitious
agreements on the continent of Africa.
I'm asking that.
But even you yourself, you are corrupt.
Who
is not corrupt?
Viewers who are watching.
Tell me one person that is not corrupt.
Please.
He heckled me 80% of my submission.
I'm asking that. We proceed.
You think
and that you won't heckle me again.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
He doesn't heckle you.
But at least can he adduce evidence to support the allegation he's making?
I'm the moderator. I'm asking that.
Okay, no problem.
But the fact is that NDC is more corrupt than MPP. The evidence is that when we came into government, we jailed some of their appointees. Have they ever jailed us? No. Courts of competent jurisdiction jailed them. So what is he talking about corruption? And they are going to be jailed. Because they've stolen so much, they've destroyed this country.
He can say that.
Oh,
no, but when I am speaking, but I have a problem. He can say we have stolen so much. And yet when I mention somebody's name here, I mention somebody's name here, that the person is a relative of the president. You said I should stick to the issues. And the person said we have stolen so much. No, no. I am also protesting because I just mentioned somebody's name. And you have a problem with that. Nobody said we have stolen so much. Where is the evidence that we have stolen money? Where is the evidence?
You are stealing so much.
No, but I think that you should be fair to all of us.
I'm asking you
you don't have enterprise.
Jot down your point and you respond to it.
No, apart from
please,
boss,
please, the two of you should please.
Oh, it's my turn.
I'm saying, please, the two of you should hold it.
So minus.
Sammy, I'm asking you that. You jot down your point. You have your time to respond.
So you will intervene like you intervene in mine.
I'll make sure he doesn't intervene when you are. Please. Time is not on our side.
We have stolen a lot of money.
Sammy,
okay, continue.
NDC,
down your
they don't
point,
have
and then
any
you
enterprise.
No, but what about you?
And I'm saying,
What about you?
Please,
I
I will
will
not.
Just like you
when it comes
intervene
to
when I was
corruption,
making. What about you?
NDC, they are robbers. They steal. In fact, that is their enterprise.
Mr. Stephen.
And I'm not going to allow you.
know something.
But you know
I
what
don't
he
like
said, no.
interjecting people on this show. I have been on this show a couple of times and I don't
Sammy,
interject.
relax.
But I will not sit here
But
for
accept the
Stephen
fact that you are corrupt.
Amoah to say that
Mr.
NDC people have
Stephen.
stolen a lot of
Mr.
money
Stephen.
Yes.
when he has nothing
Stephen.
to back
Stephen,
present.
You don't have to use.
You are just
please.
you are
what did
making
you say?
frivolous allegations.
Please listen, Sammy. Please wait.
Oh,
please, the two of you, please.
But Sammy used it.
Substantiate,
please.
or
You don't have
withdraw.
to use that they are armed robbers. You don't
People
have
are
to-
armed
please,
robbers.
those are
You think
very
Remember,
we are
I'm
meant
not
to
saying they are
This is
robbers
good
on
morning,
the
but good
highway.
morning,
Please,
Ghana.
please
Oh,
wait.
What are you talking about?
contextual.
You don't
I'm
have-
saying that
please
when it
withdraw
comes to
that
corruption,
I'm asking you to withdraw.
the NDC, they are not corrupt.
Don't say they
We
are
are armed
robbers.
robbers.
Please,
No,
don't use
I'm
that
saying
word.
when it comes to corruption.
Yes, what? But still, please.
Not that they are on the highway.
Please,
No,
don't-
that one
don't
they
do
won't
that.
do.
Please, don't do that to
Okay,
this program.
NDC,
I'm
they are
asking
not. They
you-
are not armed robbers on the highway.
Please, I'm saying that.
I've withdrawn that.
Please,
So I've
withdraw.
withdrawn.
Please withdraw.
I've withdrawn. Let's
Thank you.
move
So
on.
make your point.
What
Sammy-
I'm saying is that when it comes to corruption,
Accepted, I won't come.
NDC, the only thing that they have is corruption enterprise. When it comes to stealing, everybody knows them. Ask you, look, go to Circle here, ask about NDC and corruption. Go to Kantamantu, go to KJTia, go to Home Market. Everybody, the problem they have with the NDC is that all that they are doing today is to come back and steal. My brother, MASLOC, the buses that were parked there, each bus, they added $30,000. I'll bring you the document. The company is in Ghana here. Go and check. Mark Motors. I don't want to, it's in court, so I don't want to go into details. NDC always, how can we got rape of public purse? It's not under NDC. Gangantua stealing. Create, loot, and share.
Stephen, speak
These
to
were
the-
statements by
speak to
courts of
TDS.
competent jurisdiction.
All right.
What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
NDC, they want to come back. All because they want to come and steal. They don't have any enterprise apart from stealing. And I'm saying that Ghanaians comparing NDC to MPP, and if he is talking about corruption, trying to cite Nanado and Hwan and Co., you can never ever, unless you don't serve this living God. It doesn't mean there's no corruption in MPP or CPP or NDC. It's a human institution. We have people who put up bad behaviors and good behaviors. There are good people in NDC as well that put up good behaviors. But if you are comparing the two, you are doing trend analysis. If you are in terms of magnitude, in terms of substance, in terms of remarkability, in terms of quantum of money stolen ever in our political history, how can compare NDC to MPP? And Sammy knows. He's my brother. This is politics that he's doing. This is the gospel truth, according to all Ghanaians. And so what we are saying is that when issues come up, and government that understands how to protect state purse is saying that these issues have been raised, we cannot substantiate it. Because I'm a good government, hold on, let me do my investigation. Once we draw inferences and we see it is valid, we take action. If not, we move on. What is wrong with this? Does that constitute corruption? Wow. What constitutes corruption is the badge branding, is the SADA, JIDA, Woyomi, the guinea fowls that went to Burkina Faso. I don't know whether they are back. The fact of the matter is that NDC is not supposed to even lead any country in the world. It's a fact. It doesn't mean MPP is perfect. I'm also saying NDC never did anything good. No. But just he is talking plenty. He is talking plenty. Ask NDC. What happened? The Social Democrat, NHIA, school feeding, LEAP, free school, none of them. You people, you cannot manage the economy. Proper policies you don't bring. There's no serious policy that NDC initiated in our country. Every day you come and destroy this country, you use propaganda and lies. Because we live in a country people think only fornication is sin. They can lie and confuse people and do all the propaganda and attempt to steal election and come to power. All that I'm saying is that enough is enough of the NDC lies. 2.5 years of it. It wasn't President Mahama, former President Mahama, that nice gentleman who said that you cannot use 2 years to assess any government. This is a public evidence. Everybody knows. So what are they talking about? What we are saying is that, yes, there's hardship. Now, who caused them? Now, who left us in this situation? So we are building that which you destroyed. The deplorable state that you left this country in. And every day, this hardship. Look, in fact, noise will not bring you back. Producing destructive interference of waves, as definition in physics, of noise will not bring NDC back. Ghanaians want alternative. It's not NDC. What are their alternative policies? President Mahama, all the run he's going, what is his policy? Nothing. All to do propaganda, all to do this, all to lie, all to do that. He is a lawyer.
When I want to respond, you will tell me it's not part of the topics.
Please.
But you allow him to talk about things which have got nothing to do with the topic. When I want to respond, you will tell me, no, Sammy, stick to the issues. Sammy, stick to the issues.
You are not happy.
These issues,
you should be happy.
Sammy,
I will respond. So you allow him.
You can say whatever. Sammy, Ghanaians are watching. Those who go to church and the mosque, read Bible and the Quran, and they are honest and they serve this living God. NDC should never be given
Stephen, you have 2 minutes to
unless
wrap
you change. You're having the same team. Who has
Stephen,
changed?
you have 2 minutes to wrap up.
Who has changed?
Stephen.
Look.
Please, I'm saying you have 2 minutes.
But I've heard you, boss.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that the NDC team that they destroyed Ghana 8 years ago, tell me any, you have not bought new players. We haven't even opened the windows, the football, you call it a football windows. Who would tell me the new player? Is it Abedi Pele or is it who? Or is it who are the players? The Manchester players? No, the same team, the NDC striker that made Ghana score no goal. The NDC goalkeeper that made us, they score us 100 goals. The NDC midfielder that made our midfield as a country destroy. The same thing. You said we should give it back to you. Even now, you're even older. When you were young and playing, you left Ghana into this bad state. You are older, no new technique, you've not learned anything. We should allow you to go and play for Ghana again. Please. Campaigning and starting. NDC does not have what it takes. They don't have the ability. They don't know the technical know-how. It's all propaganda, lies, deception. They go around schools.
Sammy, we don't have so much time, and so what I will ask is
Sammy himself knows NDC is not good.
It's okay, thank you.
It's not alternative.
Okay, Sammy, please, we don't have so much time.
And he's my very good brother. He knows I love him so much.
Sammy, we don't have so much time. Let's box this into 2 minutes. I have text messages I have to run through. Into 2 minutes, and then I'll just ask your thoughts about something that is also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, and then the Daily Graphic, which has to do with the kidnapped girls, and then the remains, the skeletons that have been discovered. So just box this in 2 minutes. I'll just take your views to 2 minutes on this, then I can do my text messages. I beg you.
You see, my brother made a statement which I think is very profound. He says you cannot win power with noise. And I think he has a lot to learn from that. It is true that you can't win power with noise. And in that same breath, you cannot retain yourself in power with insults. He's heaping on the NDC this morning. He should know, cannot retain them into office. Ghanaians will look at their performance and whether or not they have delivered on their mandates. Unfortunately, they have failed. They've performed very abysmally, and the facts are very clear for all well-meaning Ghanaians to see. You see, when you talk about corruption, it is very easy for anybody to sit and scream and say, NDC is more corrupt, this person is more corrupt. Maza, Amoah and Mafu. Governance is not about cheap tokenism. Governance is a serious business. We didn't elect the MPP into office to come and talk. When they were in opposition, they said that we had used $10 million to print presidential diaries. Our president today, President Akufo-Addo, made that allegation. Where is the evidence today to buttress that? It was a lie. He lied. They said we had inflated the Ridge Hospital project, the Kaswa Hospital project, the Kumasi Airport Expansion project. Where is the evidence to support that? They lied. They said President Mahama was corrupt. He's been outside office for almost 3 years now, and yet he's still squeaky clean. Not one allegation of corruption has been established against him. That is who they are. They talk, and yet they have nothing to buttress it. And they still think that they can hoodwink Ghanaians with these lies. Look, once you know, your true commitment to the fight against corruption is determined by how you deal with corruption as and when issues of corruption arise under your tenure. When President Mahama was in office, and the Jida matter broke, what did he do? He launched investigations into the matter. People who were found culpable, some of which were his own appointees, his members of his own party, members of parliament, like Mr. Abugapele. He didn't clear anybody like the clearing agent President Akufo-Addo is doing today. He didn't defend them, he didn't speak for them. He allowed the law to take its course. And that is why some of them are languishing in jail today. He punished his own for corruption. President Mahama always says that the easiest approach, the easiest path to the fight against corruption is prosecuting your opponents. It is when you prosecute your own
that you show that you are truly committed to the fight against corruption. And that is what President Mahama did. Something President Akufo-Addo has not been able to do and can never do because he's a clearing agent. And that is a fact. President Kufuor never defended corrupt officials like President Akufo-Addo is doing. Neither did President Rawlings do that. No president in the history of this country, not even the military rulers we have had, have defended corrupt officials like President Akufo-Addo is doing. President Mahama punishes his own. You are talking about Smarty's bus branding. He investigated it and ensured that monies were refunded back to the states. What has happened to the Bosgate scandal? Where is the money for the Bosgate scandal? Gifty Clenham of Ghana Export Promotion Authority and her deputies, who have been indicted by the Auditor General, have they refunded a kobo to the states? Kroll, you've paid 5.4 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 54 billion cedis, to Kroll for no work done. The Auditor General has uncovered that only this week. Where is the money? NHIS has lost 23 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 230 billion cedis. Where is the money? You have the effrontery to talk about corruption, and you say people will go to jail. People, who have you jailed? Who have you convicted? Have you even abused the central? The cocoa rows that they said we had inflated, initiated audits on and all that. Have they indicted any contractor, any ex-government official? So what I want our listeners, our viewers to appreciate is that these people are just talkative. They talk, they make spurious allegations. They churn out deceitful, spurious, baseless, hollow allegations just to paint people black for nothing. But Ghanaians are very discerning. And I know that come 2020, it will not be about who can scream the loudest. It will not be about whose sticker says is more corrupt. Ghanaians will ask you, you borrowed as much as 120 billion Ghana cedis in less than 3 years. Where are the schools you built? You promised to build 350 secondary schools. You promised to transform Ghana within 18 months. Where are the factories? Where are the dams? Where are the sustainable jobs? What is the level of cost of living? When we go to the markets, are we able to buy? Traders, what are they going through? What is the state of our currency, the Ghana cedi? And how is the free fall of the cedi impacting on businesses? These are the germane issues which Ghanaians will take into consideration. And I dare say that all these issues, none of these issues favor you because you have failed, you have performed abysmally, you are so corrupt that every day, instead of one district, one factory, it is one day, one corruption scandal. Today, we've been talking about PDS scandal. Have you seen the latest scandal in town? Rosewood. The Americans have even caught you. You are illegal, involvement in the legal rosewood trade.
Okay.
Manasseh Azuri has uncovered another rot.
Please.
Don't call me contracts on sale.
Please, gentlemen.
You are an embodiment of corruption. So speak to PDS and stop making frivolous allegations. And even with MASLOC, I am told that Stephen Amoah attempted to import some Fiat vehicles without going through the public procurement law. I'm saying it in front of you and all that, and I'm getting all these revelations. So I'm getting to know that you are very corrupt as well. Yes, I didn't know that you are also a thief. I didn't know. You said we are thieves. I didn't know you are also a thief. Oh, you are speaking Chi on an English show.
20,000.
So I'm just getting this. I'm just getting all these things. I'm just getting all this. So the two of you. Well, I know I'm done.
You were stealing money, buying dresses for girls,
and I'm still here.
We all know you.
And I'm still here.
I'll bring all out. You think I'm like you?
Who? Public officer like you. We are talking about stewardship.
Have you ever paid tax?
We are talking about how you are running a state agency, and you are talking about people's girlfriends.
When you were stealing money from Kenya, have you worked before?
This is very cheap.
Have you worked?
This is very cheap.
Very cheap. Have you worked before?
This is very cheap.
You have never worked.
You are talking about girlfriends.
Have you worked before?
You are talking about the state.
Have you worked before?
And you are talking about somebody buying dresses for their girlfriends. Very cheap.
You are more than.
So if I buy a dress for my girlfriend, I want to. You have to bring it to good morning.
Have you worked before?
Very cheap.
Me, I work. I pay tax. I have companies.
No, you are not fighting.
Speak
to the issue.
Okay, fine.
No, do
you want to cry?
Have you worked before?
No,
have you worked before? Me say, have you worked? It's only NDC they were appointing.
Speak to the issue.
Have you worked before?
I was elected.
I'm asking you. Have you worked before?
Speak to the issue.
I'm asking you. Tell Ghanaians.
Please.
KMA, you stole over 10 million.
One allegation You see, these people, they can throw rocks at you, but they can't take a pebble. You say we are armed robbers. We are thieves. Now I said you are a thief, and you want to win. Give him a handkerchief. Give him water.
Have you went before? Tanzanians. Have you went before?
Stephen. Okay, let's go on to the next.
Whole public officer. You'll be hailing, you've been throwing rocks at us, and yet you can't take pebbles. Pebbles.
Okay. Everybody knows you're a thief.
So arrest me.
Everybody knows you're a thief.
You are in government. And as I'm working.
Who doesn't know you're a thief there? Go to Kumasi and check.
This man has a big problem. He has a big problem.
Stephen.
Because I don't
this one is for comic relief.
You are a thief.
Public officer, you're talking about somebody has bought something
what
for their
work were you doing
girlfriend.
that you were buying 20,000 web staff for women daily?
Please.
Okay, fine, let's go on to the next.
I know that.
Let's go on to the next
issues.
Let's go to the next issue.
Girlfriends,
please, I would want us.
No, but who started it?
Please, what I'm saying. No,
I've never
don't ask
attacked
me
him personally.
Don't-
But he started
You
it.
can attack NDC that we are armed robbers. Am I not part of the NDC?
Okay, but you are romantic.
If you attack me,
But
I
you
will
know you're a
attack you.
thief. Have you went before?
Okay, let's go on to the next issue, please. We don't have so much time. So, police secure DNA samples from 4 relatives of kidnapped girls. Stephen, please. Crack police forensic experts yesterday took DNA samples from families of the 4 missing girls in Takoradi in the Western region. The experts drawn from the forensic laboratory are expected to bring the samples to Accra for analysis to ascertain whether the remains found recently in Takoradi matched that of the missing girls. This follows an agreement between the police and the families of the kidnapped girls, 18-year-old Priscilla Mentabia Kranche, Priscilla Blessing Bentum, 21 and 18-year-old Ruth Love Kwesen, and 19-year-old Ruth Abaka. Sammy, it seems that
No, it's my turn. You can't go
So now you want to also regulate the show. Please wait. What is the meaning of
Okay.
I haven't spoken.
Why are you so jittery?
Stephen,
My senior
Stephen,
man.
I'm the one running the program. Stephen, please, I'm the one running the program.
respect
What
the
you're
host.
telling me.
Wait.
Okay, so let me talk.
No, I'm not saying that. No.
Let him talk.
Stephen, so
Because
when you
you-
do
no,
this,
boss, you gave me
can
2
come in
minutes.
and raise a concern, but
I'm
don't
coming,
say,
but you
please.
gave me 2 minutes.
Okay.
He
No,
didn't let me talk.
please, you raise issues, and I said Sammy can only respond in 2 minutes. Then we go on to the next
Maybe
issue.
you forgot it. It's not
Okay, no
intentional.
problem. Stephen, you start on this one.
Why?
It's okay.
Is he intimidating
Please,
you?
No, let
he's
him
not
speak.
intimidating me.
Let him speak.
Please,
Let him
no,
speak.
Stephen, please, let's take your point on this.
On what?
On the police DNA,
defer
the
to you.
families are now cooperating.
Defer to your
Are we
wisdom.
making a headway?
I think we are making a headway.
Okay.
And in terms of security or insecurity management in our country, there's improvement.
Okay.
2013, go and check. Abductions, 113. 2014, it moved to 120. These are records that are unprecedented. But if you look at today, yes, there are still abductions. In fact, I'm not saying this bad to the family. I'm even in whatever solidarity with them. But a very good friend of mine, marrying a distant relative in Kumasi, was moving from Accra to Kumasi, wanted to pass through the mother, Koforidua. In between, very good, he went to KNUST under the NDC. Up to now, the pickup, himself and his money, he can't find. I'm not trying to compare one regime to another. But what I'm trying to say is that insecurity has been a very serious issue that we need to handle in our country. Because look, even if you look at the developed countries, it's even worse. But if you look at the Takoradi issue, what happened if what I know is correct? I may be suffering from asymmetric information management because it's not every piece of information that I'll be privy to. When the thing happened, the family decided whether it's true or not. In fact, in any case, the family, I show solidarity with you. I know it's a painful situation. We are with you. I know God will bring these children back. I'm praying. It's my fervent prayer that God brings these kids to join their family because it's a very sad issue. And everybody, the president, the MPP, the entire Ghanaian community, we are with them. But what I'm trying to say is that I learned the so-called kidnappers wanted money. Initially, they were actually communicating or doing all those arrangements. Whether that was true, I don't know. But if that was the case, it was very unfortunate. I think the police, in my opinion, they've tried. But where I have questions to ask the police, that is my question. That if indeed it is established that the remains of the bodies they found happen to be the kids, and they were found in the residence or the house of the suspect, then we have a serious problem. I think we have, is it sniffer dogs? We do have them in Ghana. Did they go there at first or they did not? What search did they do? That if the bodies were there, they could not really uncover them or discover them. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So these are the things. The police, they are not doing bad. But I think when it comes to crime management and insecurity, they should up their performance. They should upscale their performances and make sure that in this country, there are now a lot of foreigners from neighboring countries and even elsewhere. And they are introducing new cultures of crime. And because of that, there should be a paradigm shift in the way the police and other security agencies are approaching issues. Apart from that, I think we should all pray that the kids come back and we should work hard. And then the community should begin to exercise sense of community. You know, when we were kids, even somebody's mother that you don't know can stop you, shout at you, and advise you. Even sometimes they can pat your back or something. But these days, we are losing the sense of community. In fact, because of sense of community that I got to know my brother, not from KNUS, that we live in the same community, and all the expenditures he was making outrageously, he knows, I know, the shop he was doing that. Because of sense of community, he's like my brother. And that is that spirit I want us to know. I want us to come to. Oh, it's a fact, he knows. Even though he has never... But we were living in the same community. The advice I'm giving to Ghanaians is that now the crime that other foreigners are bringing into this country are sophisticated or is sophisticated. And so we should be wide awake in terms of our sense of community approach and patronage, and make sure that we are each other's keeper and report issues of concern, issues of doubt, issues of controversy or insecurity to the appropriate bodies in time, early enough for them to also exercise whatever approach that they are supposed to. Because this thing cannot keep on going on. That year after year, for the past 30 years, people are kidnapped. I remember on the NDC, you remember, continuously 8 women were killed mysteriously. And that one man was arrested. I've forgotten the name. So these things, exactly. So these things have been with us for a long time, but we can't continually entertaining them in our society.
All right.
We need to be each other's keeper.
It seems
Thank you very
now
much.
the family is cooperating with the police. Earlier on, we heard that there was, they were not too comfortable dealing with the police, but now it seems as if we are making a headway. Some pathology specialists have been brought in to assist in that direction.
Well, I know before I make my submission, let me respectfully make the point that I have utmost respect for this noble platform.
Yes.
And our viewers. I've been here a couple of times, but I must admit that today has been one of my lowest,
Yes, it's normal. It
so
happens all the time.
I regret. I want to tell our cherished viewers that I regret some of the comments we pass is as a result of some of the unnecessary provocations that sometimes we are subjected to. And I hope that we'll all elevate this discussion above the pedestrian, hollow, accusations that sometimes we make against ourselves on platforms like this. It's about Ghana, it's about the states, and I think that we must show that maturity and that respect for our viewers.
I also thank you for making that point.
Thank you very much. The issue of the 3 kidnapped Takoradi girls is a very serious matter. I am happy that, alas, the parents and the family of the case have, shown some commitment to cooperate with government, because initially the disturbing signal we picked was that they were unwilling to cooperate with the Ghana Police Service, specifically the CID, and our security agencies, as far as this matter is concerned. I fully associate myself with the concerns of the families and the mistrust they have developed for the CID, the police service, and the Akufo-Addo government. Because I'm sure you will agree with me that the handling of this matter has not been has been very shambolic. The CID, the police service, government functionaries have been very reckless with how they have churned out information about the whereabouts of the case. I know you know what I'm talking about, the infamous comments of the CID boss, Pt2 Dankwa. You know, government has been very dishonest. The police has been very unprofessional, and government hasn't shown, and government
he was in the meeting when they were planning to kidnap people.
I will not allow you to do this because you see, when you were talking, Sammy, I asked that.
No, but you hear what I said and what he said.
Please, I'm saying that Sammy kept quiet all through when you were making your point.
But you hear what I said and what he said.
I'm saying you made your point.
Okay.
I will not allow you to.
But they had a
secret
meeting to kidnap people.
Please listen.
He was in the meeting.
Are you asking me?
He should have been arrested by now.
You don't have to ask me that question. I'm saying that you allow him to make his point. Okay? When you were talking, he kept quiet. And I will not allow you to do that. I would not allow you to do that.
I hear, but he should speak.
I would not allow you to do that.
But you allow him to lie.
I would not. Please. You started from a point by giving some data from 2013, 2014 about 100 and whatever abduction. He kept quiet. Let him make his point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. And so I can understand the frustrations and the mistrust of the families, because I believe that government hasn't shown much seriousness and sensitivity to their plight. We're all in this country where when the 2 Canadian girls were kidnapped in Kumasi, and we saw the alacrity and dispatch with which government unraveled the matter and rescued the girls. We haven't seen the same thing being, employed by government in this matter. You've heard the families complain that when they even reported the matter to the police, they were treated with contempt. The police didn't show any concern. They didn't show any seriousness and all that. You've had the CID boss, the Minister for National Security, put out conflicting information about the whereabouts of these children, which actually exacerbated the pain and grief of the family. Yet, those who did these things are still at post. No punitive measures have been taken against them. Pt2 Dankwa is still at post. We are not seeing any change in the approach of the police to this matter. Even look at how the latest issue has been handled, the issue of the police finding human remains on a property allegedly occupied by the main suspect in the matter. Even before the police could inform the family, even before the police could conduct forensics on the alleged human remains, a statement was hastily issued and some worrying, conclusions drawn by the police. And I feel it has not helped this matter. I'm happy that they are willing to cooperate with the police. This matter must be unraveled. The 4 kidnapped girls must be found. It could have happened to anybody. I will not sit here and rationalize and say that it happened years ago, so what is happening now, it's fine. If you have respect for the sensibilities of people, you will not seek to rationalize and equalize and all that. And finally, this whole issue, is part of the growing levels of insecurity that we are witnessing under this government. My brother, in the history of Ghana, this is the only government which has appointed a Minister for National Security, which has appointed a Minister of State in charge of national security. They have a Minister of Interior, a Minister of Defense, a National Security Coordinator, a National Security Advisor. They have security coordinators in all districts, something Ghana has never had. And yet, we are not seeing any improvement in security. If you check the police statistics, violent crime, armed robbery, murder, everything is going up. And so government must set up the president. No, I'm just wrapping up 30 seconds. Yes. The president, who is the commander-in-chief, must get his ass together. He must get his ministers to set up the police, the CID. They must set up, work hard like they did in the case of the 2 kidnapped Canadian girls, so that we can find these girls for their parents. Ghanaians are also human beings. What is good for the goose is also good for the gander.
Thank you. Let me go. Let me just read some few messages that we've had. Hamza Pig Farm, minority. He said minority. The American embassy, I can't get what embassy to get involved in the investigation into the PDS deal is in the right direction. Abbas, he said, good morning, Mr. Frank. Your messages, please keep it short, I beg you. Mustafa from Odododio, I'm highly disappointed and an appointee government for that matter, Stephen, to exhibit such scandal. Let me just stop the messages here and then thank the two gentlemen who joined me today. It's been a bit heated in here. It's Mr. Stephen Amoah, who is the CEO of MASLOC, and then
that the Coalition for Social Justice, organizers of Pt2 demo, will be having a very important press conference this morning at the Ghana Press Center on the PDS scandal and some issues which border on the recently announced killer taxes and the hardship in the country. And we will also be announcing the dates for the next edition of Pt2 at this press conference. So we are inviting Metro TV and we are inviting the media to participate in this all-important press conference.
I think Friends for Good Governance, we are meeting next week. I'm lauding the government that unprecedented in 2 years. Government that has reduced more taxes as never before.
All right.
We are meeting to put up a framework, a model together as to how we can encourage the government to reduce more taxes and then do more social intervention policies. So we are meeting next week.
On that note, I would want to thank the two gentlemen, Sammy Gyamfi, who's a communications officer from the NDC side, and then Mr. Stephen Amoah, who is the Chief Executive Officer of MASLOC. My name, I would want to say, let me use this opportunity to say a good morning to Frida Holmes of the PR department of the Ghana Highways Authority, to Sammy Inla. And then today happens to be the birthday of our own sports presenter here at Metro TV, Michael Kofi Odro. We want to say a big happy birthday to you. And thanks also to our viewers, and I'm sorry to those who texted in that I couldn't read your message. Hopefully